Remember when Austin was still a small town and was relatively affordable right before the boom? Well, just north of San Antonio, there's a little hill country gym called Boerne, Texas that is starting to act the same way, and the secret is getting out. Prices have gone up by 39% in the last 5 years. The population has doubled since 2010, and families are racing to get into one of the top-rated school districts in the entire state of Texas, and that is what we're going to talk about today and why you should move to Boerne in 2025. First off, the location is perfect. I mean, literally, in my opinion, couldn't be more perfect because it is just 30 minutes from that downtown San Antonio area north of the city itself. You're in the rolling hill country terrain. You are well into the Texas hill country on this north section of San Antonio, whereas compared to in San Antonio itself, it's a little bit more flat. You know, the hill country is definitely started on the north side, but where Boerne is at, you are in the true Texas hill country. And with that, you get a little bit cooler temperatures. So from you guys kind of worried about the Texas heat, Boerne is actually on average 3 degrees cooler during the summer months than San Antonio itself is. And because of the hills, you kind of get that prevailing breeze and a lot less humidity up there, which I know from you guys, especially coming from that dry heat, it makes a big difference. On top of that, you're really close to some of the best amenities that San Antonio has to offer, which includes shops at La Cantera, the Rim, and all the shopping and entertainment and everything that goes on there, in addition to Six Flags Fiesta, Texas, and most everybody in Boerne is commuting into San Antonio. It kind of shows how easy it is to get into the city. You got German architecture and historic charm that we're going to talk a lot more in depth about later when we get into the downtown Hill Country Mile and what makes that so special. And not only is it close to San Antonio, you're about an hour or so away from New Braunfels, which is one of the most booming places in the entire country that we've talked about a ton of times on this channel. You're also only 30 to 45 minutes away from Fredericksburg, so being in the Hill Country has more benefits because you can go up there for the day and explore, you know, the wine country that is Fredericksburg and all the touristy things that it has to offer in addition to what Boerne already has. And for those of you that do work or have an office out of Austin and only need to go there maybe a day or two a week, or maybe even less frequently than that, it's about a little less than 2-hour drive from Austin, and you don't even have to get on any of the highways to get there. You can kind of go the back roads and see the scenic route, which honestly makes it a huge plus for those people that don't have to drive into Austin every day but do need easy access to it. So now let's get into some of these explosive numbers that a lot of you people that are looking to move to San Antonio, or even people that are in San Antonio looking for one of the best suburbs of San Antonio, can't ignore. But before we dive into these numbers though, I really want to ask you guys a quick question. If you are finding any value at all in this breakdown of Boerne, Texas, please subscribe. I do all types of videos like this on market insights of San Antonio, neighborhood tours, talking about all the different areas all around San Antonio and everything that makes this area so great. Again, I've lived in this area my entire life, so I really truly love it. I know it like the back of my hand, and would love to continue to provide value to you guys as you subscribe to this channel and continue watching more of the content on this channel. Now, when it comes to the numbers, the first one that we cannot ignore is the population has had explosive growth. In 2010, the population of Boerne was only 10,500 residents, and just a few years ago, the official population was around 23,000, with the kind of expected population in 2024, at the end of 2024, to be around 25,000 people. That gives it on average a 5% annual growth, which puts it ahead of 97% of the cities of a similar size in the entire country, making it one of the fastest growing cities in the entire state of Texas and the country, of course. Now, when it comes to the demographics of Boerne, there's only so much that I can talk about, but what I can say is that the average age in Boerne is around like 38, 39 years old. This kind of tailors a lot towards a big reason that I get a lot of calls for why people are moving to Boerne, and that is the very highly rated school districts. In fact, 25% of the population of Boerne is actually under 18 years old. So you can see how many families with kids are living in Boerne just based off that statistic alone. This actually is incredibly good compared to a lot of the other areas around here. So it's actually higher than the median age of the population of San Antonio, which is around like that 34, 35. And it's actually a little bit higher than New Braunfels as well, which is about 36. But it is a lot lower than places that are really close by, like Bulverde Spring Branch, which is up in the 50s, and even Kerrville, which is a little bit further north for you guys looking at a true hill country town. That population there has a median age of around 41. And even Helotes, which is actually just outside of San Antonio, is a median age of in the low 40s, also like 43. So Boerne kind of has like a lower age population as well. But that isn't to say that it is one of the most popular places for retirees that I have seen, and we're going to get more into that later too. Now, there is a true fundamental driver that is bringing a ton of families to Boerne, and that is this top tier school district in the entire state of Texas. So let's dig into that a little bit more now. Now, when looking at these numbers, I evaluate a ton of different sources, and I encourage you to do the same. So you can look at places like niche.com, you can look at the txschools.gov website for their accountability ratings. I like both of those. You can also look at greatschools.org. There's a million different places that you can look at for ratings. So make sure that you're evaluating those with whatever area that you're looking at for school districts. So for Boerne specifically, it is number 2 in the entire San Antonio area for rated school districts, behind only Alamo Heights. And it is by far a lot bigger than the Alamo Heights School District. It's got an A accountability rating according to txschools.gov, and it is among the top 10% of all school districts in the entire state of Texas. It has an academic performance score of a 10 out of 10 and 70 to 75% proficient reading level for third graders, which is way above the state level also. Looking at long-term plans for the district, they are targeting a 90% college, military, career readiness at graduation for their kids. And I know for a lot of you guys, sports is a big thing, especially in Texas. You cannot ignore the Texas high school football, baseball, soccer, volleyball, softball, all the big sports. I mean, Texas is huge for its sports. Boerne is very, very high level and ranks competitively and performs competitively on the state level year after year. The soccer team is consistently in the hunt for the state championship and have won recently. Football and baseball teams have both been to the state championship rounds here in the last few years. Softball even has won in recent years. Track and swimming have won consistently many years, and many different competitors have done really, really well at that. So you see a very large amount of kids that go through the high school athletic programs perform very, very well. And going back down to a little bit lower level, Boerne Little League actually made the national finals for the Little League Baseball World Championships this past year. Now, when you see some of these developments that we're going to talk about next, you're going to understand why the school district is being very proactive in expanding its schools, because some of these neighborhoods are really driving a lot of people to move to Boerne too. I've said it many times on this channel, Boerne is one of the most expensive suburb areas of the entire area, metro area of San Antonio. You're looking at a median price point of $550,000, which has actually increased about 39% in the last 5 years. However, like a lot of places in Texas, Florida, and all of the Sun Belt of the United States, and if you have questions specifically about the real estate market in general as a whole, especially in the San Antonio market, my information is all down in that description below. Would love to help you guys out with your move here. But going back to it, Boerne itself has definitely seen a slowing down from the COVID peak years, just like every market in Texas has seen. In fact, 72% of the homes on the market are actually selling below the original asking price, and is on average about 100 days on the market before these homes are selling. So you can see that buyers do have a little bit more leverage right now than they used to in past years. Now, getting into the spring summer selling season, which we are right now, we have about 559 homes for sale on the market, which is about a 10% increase month over month, but that is expected for this time of year going into the summer season, especially San Antonio. A very summer heavy market with the military moves that we have, and of course, a very large demographic of, kids and families that, are moving during the summers to not interrupt the school years for their children. And although you are seeing some of those more buyer favorable numbers start to pop up, Boerne is a completely different environment compared to the rest of the San Antonio area. So you do have a large increase in the prices actually in Boerne year over year. And when I say large increase, it's not quite as large as you may think, but compared to some of the areas around the state that are seeing 5 to 10% declines in prices year over year, Boerne is actually a 2% year over year growth from this period last year to this period this year. And in fact, it's actually a 13% increase in sales, which is the complete opposite of a lot of places that are seeing a decrease in sales. I already talked about the median price point being around that $550,000 mark, but the entry point here is really right at $300,000. And there's only a few options. You can get a very basic, kind of older, tract home, small home too. Don't think you're going to get anything that's like 4 or 5 bedrooms plus for around $300,000, but you can find some that are around that $300,000 to $350,000. Those 1,200 to 1,500 square foot homes maybe need a little bit of work, maybe a little bit older, but there are some good options in that price point if that is your budget. Most everything is $350,000 and up. When it comes to the new construction, the median price point for new construction homes that are currently available for sale is $715,000. So you can see the luxury market in San Antonio, and that is classified as luxury for San Antonio, being on that upper 10% of the market as a whole. The new builds in Boerne are definitely higher price. And it does have a lot to do with some of those new developments that we're going to get into, such as like Cordillera Ranch and Caliza Reserve and Pecan Springs, that are really driving those prices up a lot with a lot of their beautiful new construction homes that they got. On top of that, the existing homes, you're looking at about $660,000 median price point for homes currently available for sale. Again, this just shows the higher price that Boerne has. Now, I've talked about it before. Cordillera Ranch is probably one of the premier luxury neighborhoods in the entire San Antonio metro area. I did a video on this one actually very recently that you can go take a look at. However, you're looking at a $2.5 million kind of average price point to get into that neighborhood. There's plenty of options to build, but there's new construction. Some of these luxury builders are selling spec homes. Again, those are way up in price point. You're multi-million-dollar homes for sure, but mostly acreage communities. You do have some quarter acre lots in the villas, basically the smaller kind of garden home style, homes in that development. But most everything, especially when you're driving through that 8,000 acre ranch, basically it is a beautiful, beautiful place. You're going to see, the golf course, the Jack Nicklaus designed golf course that is just one of a kind and been named one of the best in Texas many years previously. It also has crazy amenities that are just second to none when it comes to development. So again, there's a lot to talk about with Cordillera Ranch. When it comes to a lot more new construction and kind of in that more median price point, you're looking at like Corley Farms, Esperanza being the one that has the most sales and is kind of driving a lot of the growth of San Antonio, or of Boerne specifically, because of its amenities, its design elements. It's won many, many awards for its design and the super high quality builders like Highland, Perry Homes. You've got Chesmar in there, Coventry, Monticello. You've got multiple builders that are really, really high level there. Corley Farms is Pulte and Perry Homes. Pulte also has their lower price division, Syntax. So you can actually get in there in the upper 300s for new construction home in Corley Farms, which is a really, really big benefit because that's hard to find in Boerne. You also have others such as the Ranches at Creekside, Fox Falls, that are kind of more in that median to upper $700,000-$800,000 range, and then some luxury communities such as George's Ranch, where the Parade of Homes was just held, another brand new acreage community with some just outstanding homes there. And same thing for Pecan Springs. Tons of great new construction homes that are luxury homes, multi-million-dollar price points, acreage community. And then you also have Caliza Reserve, which is a brand spanking new community, which I believe is Chesmar Homes and possibly Toll Brothers. Need to do some more research on that one, but Caliza Reserve is brand new. I haven't been out there yet. I know Chesmar is out there for a fact. I think Toll Brothers is out there, but correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments. I might be wrong on that one. Another huge benefit for Boerne, especially when it comes to real estate, is the property tax advantages. So in San Antonio, you're looking at like a 2.3, 2.4 average in the city limits, and that is percentage on the value of your home for what you're paying for property taxes, which is, I know for a lot of you guys, is just insane, right? You can't even imagine paying that much for property taxes, and y'all think that it's, way worse than paying the income tax. But again, to each his own. There's tons of exemptions that you can get for those property taxes, especially that 100% disabled veteran exemption, where you don't pay any property taxes for anybody with that 100% disability rating for our veterans. But in Boerne specifically, you have much lower rates. Outside the city limits, you're as low as 1.38% and 1.5% in a lot of places. In the city limits, you're at like around 1.8%. So the property taxes in Boerne are significantly lower and helps with that higher price point on the homes. Now, while you can create incredible investment opportunities with your real estate purchases in Boerne, it is the quality of life and the just lifestyle in general that have people falling head over heels in love with Boerne. Boerne really embodies that small town warmth with big city amenities close by feeling. You've got the Hill Country Mile, which is the downtown strip, which is just stunning. I mean, we go down there. I've done some videos down there. but we go down there even just to hang out. You've got places like, Peggy's on the Green, the Creek, Cibolo Creek Brewing Company, Daniel Trading Company, Black Rifle Coffee. You've got multiple different events that happen year after year here, such as the Dickens on Main celebration. You've got, car shows that happen very regularly. You've got the Thursday evening shopping events that go on down there for all the little antique shops and boutiques that I know just tons of ladies that I know personally that go down there all the time. And on top of that, you of course have the Kendall County Fair every year. When it comes to like the outdoor recreation, you cannot start with anything else other than Boerne City Lake. It's a very small lake that is for, manual powered boats only, right? So no, jet skis or anything like that out there, but you could take your paddleboard, your kayak, sailboats, go out there. You can fish, you can just hang out, picnic by the water, swim, do all kinds of different things. It's a beautiful spot, you know, just surrounded by hills. It's really, really cool. And it is a big centerpiece of Boerne. You also have the River Road Park, which is out along the Suburb Creek. You can fish there, walk the dogs, the different paths and everything that you can walk along the creek that go throughout town, even going downtown, kind of like its own little river walk in a way. You also have the Semelo Center for Conservation, which is a big park right on Solo Creek again. That is a really beautiful spot as well, with tons of wildlife that and very, very quiet, even though it's right in the middle of the city. And again, I'll mention it again, the proximity of the amenities to Boerne from San Antonio, specifically like La Cantera and the Rim, is huge. I mean, you're like 10, 15 minutes away from those areas. And you also have tons of really nice golf courses. You have Tapatio Springs. You've got the big one at Cordillera Ranch. And then an area that I haven't mentioned yet is Fair Oaks Ranch. Even though it's its own little kind of incorporated community, it's all within the Boerne School District and is not technically a part of Boerne itself. It's its own little, city in and of itself, but it got a really nice golf course there as well. So we've covered a lot about the lifestyle and the community itself, but let's talk about the economic opportunities in Boerne. As you can imagine, being a small town, there are not a ton of huge employers. The biggest are, of course, Boerne ISD. You've also got Albany Materials, which is a big, I think it's like an aerospace, manufacturing facility. They're local to Boerne. There's a few other smaller ones, but that's kind of the biggest one. You also have HEB, that's really close by, the Methodist Healthcare System, and then Tapatio Hill Country Springs Resort. Those are kind of the biggest local employers. Most everybody does travel down into San Antonio for work, like I've already mentioned. I've had several people that commute down into Lackland Air Force Base that actually live in Boerne, especially if you get right on the highway in some of those areas like Corley Farms, Fox Falls, Fair Oaks Ranch. It makes driving down into the city much easier than if you were up in like George's Ranch, Cordillera Ranch, or Esperanza, that's kind of on that backside of Boerne. Boerne is continuing to build on its economic development, trying to not be identified just as what they would call a bedroom community of San Antonio, where you're just living in Boerne and sleeping in Boerne and then driving into San Antonio for work. They're continuing to bring, other companies, into Boerne to continue to add to its economic and job position. Now, when it comes to managing this significant growth that Boerne has seen, the city officials have actually stepped up and been very proactive in developing a plan for how to maintain this growth and deal with it. A big thing in Texas, of course, is the water issues because of the drought that San Antonio has been seeing. So Boerne gets 59% of its drinking water supply from Canyon Lake, which is currently at 46% capacity, which is not great. However, the powers that be in Boerne and those areas that are surrounding Boerne, they've developed several different integrated plans that kind of help with the management. So they have a mobility master plan, which was developed a couple years ago. And essentially what they're projecting is that they have sufficient infrastructure plans in place as far as improving the traffic itself, improving roadways, improving the drinking water, improving wastewater treatment. They've got their own integrated wastewater treatment facilities there in Boerne to handle roughly 35 to 40,000 people through the year 2060. And that's like 2060 to 2070. So for multiple decades to come, they believe that they are on the right path. This is huge when you come to look at other places that have had significant growth, especially locally. I can explain, in great depth, and I probably will in another video, about New Braunfels and the drastic growth that it's seen and how bad traffic has gotten and how, they're, on significant water restrictions, the New Braunfels utilities, all the stuff, the fiasco that has been in recent years. But Boerne itself, in my opinion, is doing a much better job at all of this, right? So Boerne has consistently curbed development. Like, you've got some of these big neighborhoods that are going in for sure, but look at places like New Braunfels, look at places like Seguin that are on par with the size, especially looking at Seguin, and they have way more ridiculous amounts of growth as far as the number of housing developments that are going in there. You look at Seguin, that currently is a population of like 30,000 people, very similar to Boerne, and has 17,000 residential units under construction. I don't even know how that is feasible for any city, any community at one time. Boerne is not to that level in any way, shape, or form. George's Ranch was actually going to be a neighborhood similar to Esperanza, and this is all allegedly stuff that I've heard through the grapevine, so I'm assuming this is accurate. But from what I was heard, George's Ranch was going to be similar to Esperanza with smaller lots, a lot more homes. The city of Boerne would not give them that many water meters, so they had to go into a different plan. It's been in development for a long time. They had to make acreage lots, so they had a smaller amount of water meters, and Boerne was okay with that. You look at other neighborhoods, Corley Farms, for example, they don't get their water from the city of Boerne. They had to create a special utility district that gets water from San Antonio. So SAWS is the provider to the water for Corley Farms. It's an additional tax to the neighborhood, which is never ideal. So it's a little bit higher than that additional, that cheaper property taxes that we talked about a minute ago. But Boerne, the city of Boerne, was very proactive in saying, look, we can't afford to give y'all this many water meters. We don't have the capacity for it. So y'all need to get it from somewhere else if y'all are going to do this. And they did that, and they made it work. Boerne is very, very good at that kind of thing. In my opinion, it is way different than a lot of the other communities around the San Antonio area. They're also investing heavily in their wastewater treatment facilities, such as the $20 million investment in the water treatment facility that's over at Boerne City Lake. And they have also invested in reclaimed water infrastructure, saving, I think, 156 million gallons this past year, which is just an insane number. I don't really know the scale of it, but it's a big number in my opinion. Now, I do need to be honest here. While Boerne's planning is impressive, there are many challenges to consider when you're looking at what is going on with Boerne. Real big problem with any place that is an incredibly desirable place to live is that affordability becomes a harsh constraint. Like I mentioned, it's a very difficult time to get a home below $350,000 in Boerne, and it again is a very, very small home. That same home you could probably get over in San Antonio for around $200,000 to $250,000, right? That's at $300,000+ in Boerne. It's a massive price discrepancy. So affordable homes in Boerne, it just doesn't happen, right? And so that does create a lot of issues with people that are local that maybe can't afford to buy anything else and then getting pushed out, right? In addition, of course, whenever you have infrastructure growth and construction zones are just a nightmare. I mean, you could talk to a lot of people there locally. The traffic in town, especially during rush hour and in the mornings, is really difficult because you have small city streets. You've got traffic lights that you have to deal with, and you've got a lot of neighborhoods that are all releasing all these people at the same time to go to school, work, and everything else. So it makes the middle pains of that developing the infrastructure very challenging for the locals. Character preservation also becomes a concern. I feel like Boerne has done a pretty good job about that and not letting the super cookie cutter home builders build there. But I don't know if it's necessarily due to that or just more so the restrictions that they put in place. It's kept some of those smaller, lower price builders from being able to build there. You do have homes and builders such as KB Home and D.R. Horton that have communities there. KB Home has Shoreline Park, which actually backs up to Boerne City Lake. It's actually a really beautiful community. The homes, in my opinion, for you guys can have different opinions, but what I've seen with KB Home is that they are a much better builder here locally than a lot of the other builders that I've dealt with. And they do build a pretty good quality home there in Shoreline Park. D.R. Horton also has a brand new community that they're just starting to build. So it'll be interesting to see kind of what they do with their community. I know it's not going to be a big, massive, multi-thousand, home community like some of their others over on the west side of San Antonio, which kind of goes towards the thing I mentioned before, Boerne kind of managing the development, but it's still the D.R. Horton community. Despite these challenges, it's clear to see with their growth plan through 2030 why Boerne is experiencing a lot of growth and why this is just the beginning. The strategic plan that goes from 2025 to 2030, it was developed by some local universities and has actually been tailored a lot towards the affordable housing initiative and trying to give some really good incentives to builders to be able to build more affordable housing in Boerne. And again, this isn't meaning like there's going to be like 5,000, tiny little cookie cutter houses that pop up in Boerne. I don't think that's going to be the case at all. You can see what they're planning on for their population growth in the next few years, and that's not going to be supported by that much development with affordable housing. You also have some different, sustainability improvements such as, like solar, traffic lights, and things of that nature. You also have some other big developments that are going to help just Boerne as a whole. I mean, this may not help necessarily Boerne and more so the travelers that are going through Boerne, but in my opinion, Buc-ee's is always a good thing. The Buc-ee's Travel Center is finally under construction. It's going to be developed and built hopefully within the next year or two. But I won't keep my fingers crossed too hard on that one just because of the history and how long this has been taking to get going in the first place. You also have that D.R. Horton community called Spencer Ranch that is going up. So for you guys that are looking at more affordable options, D.R. Horton is definitely one of the best affordable home builders in the entire country, especially in the San Antonio area. I've had clients that have had great experiences with D.R. Horton, and I think that is a really good thing for the long term. sustainability of the community of Boerne. Because let's face it, not everybody can afford a $500,000 to $600,000 home. It's just not realistic at all. Now let's get into the final summary of why you should move to Boerne. So 30 minutes, 40 minutes from downtown San Antonio. Great location for you commuters that want to be in a hill country market like Boerne. Smaller town for your families to grow up. And on top of that, you have a super high rated school district by multiple outlets. You've got the small town Warp with lots of modern amenities really close by, and that downtown Hill Country Mile is just stunning, in my opinion, one of the best features of Boerne. You have some really great housing options across the board, some beautiful luxury homes to, some homes that are a little bit more affordable. That sub $400,000 range is very doable in Boerne. You've got responsible growth management from the city itself, but in my opinion, the most attractive thing about Boerne is the welcoming community that it has. I've had multiple families move here and just tell me how great the community has been from the very beginning. From day one, they were welcomed in and accepted into the community like it was theirs from the beginning. So if Boerne, or just one of the best suburbs of the entire San Antonio area, is a place that you are considering, then again, reach out. You can ask me any questions that you want, guys. Again, I've lived here my entire life. I know Boerne like the back of my hand. I've had hundreds of families just like yours move to the San Antonio area and move to Boerne. It's something that I love to do. So if you have any questions whatsoever, you can find me at my email in the description below. There's also a link down there to schedule a Zoom call with me. Would love to get face-to-face with you guys and talk more about your move to the San Antonio area. And if you want to see one more video about Boerne that maybe sheds a light on some of the not so good things about the city, take a look at this video right here. It is everything you need to know about why you maybe shouldn't move to Boerne. Till the next one, guys, we'll see you there.